Hi, welcome back to Maths Learning Groups again. Now, today we are going to look at the second question and we're going to elaborate on how to draw the speed distance timeline model. So we are still focusing on one part journey, right, which is a basic model, right? It's something very basic. So when you learn model, you always start from the basic. And then once you understood the basic, then you start to draw more advanced, more advanced kinds of model. So why do we need to learn how to draw models because that will help us to solve the problem easier. That will help us to visualize, right? Visualize the problem. Because if you don't have something to see, visualize, you find that solving becomes very abstract, becomes a bit harder. So that's why I will show you how to draw out the problem. And once you can do that, you find that you can solve quite easily. All right, so let's look at question 2. Now you have a car. A car travels at the speed of 80 kilometers per hour from A to B. It reached town B at 1000. So there's a time given. And sometimes why speed is so challenging? Because you have to also remember how to convert your time, right? 24-hour to 12-hour clock and vice versa. So you can see that later on, why speed can be quite challenging because there are quite a lot of other related topics that you will need to bring in order to solve the problem. Right, so it's not just speed by itself. You will also have to learn. You also have to know like how to divide fractions, how to multiply fractions. You also need to know how to convert, right? How to convert hours to hours and minutes. So there's a lot of these things that that makes the whole topic quite challenging. Right, but don't worry. Okay, we will go through the lessons slowly so that you have a better understanding and you can also avoid the careless mistakes that I will talk to you about as well. So if you look at this question again, it reached town B at 1000 and the distance between the two towns was 40 km. What time did the car leave town A? So how do we draw out this problem? Now, we have town A, which is the starting point. So when you start, there's a vertical line that you draw to show where you start. And the car travel to town B. So you have another vertical line. So from the start to the end, and you label the destination, town A to town B. And you also have to show the arrowhead because the arrowhead tells you where you are. Okay, after you travel, so where are you? You are now at the arrowhead. Okay, and then you will need to label who is moving. All right, and this is a one-part journey, right? You can see there's one part. From start to the end, there's one part. So there is one family. So you have a family of speed, distance, and time. All right, so what's the next step after you draw the model? Now, the next step is to plug the numbers and put inside. So you will do that for all the many kinds of questions that you see. Draw the model, then later plug the numbers and put inside. So where do you put the 80 kilometers per hour, which is over here? And where do you put the time where the car left town A? You put over here. So you can see that, you can see what? You can see that why is this model called the speed distance timeline model? Because you are able to put time on the model. It's a timeline also, right? It's not just a distant line, but it's also a timeline. And the distance between the two towns was 40 km. And what time did the car? It's not make a mistake. All right, so over here is supposed to be what? It reached town B at 1000. So be careful. So I make a little mistake there. So it reached town B at 1000. And what time did the car leave town B? So be careful, right? Because if you put the numbers wrongly, you find that you get the wrong answer. And your model is done. Okay, now you look at the model, which is actually quite a simple model, and sometimes you don't even need to draw the model, and you can still solve. But if you look at the model, the first common mistake, okay, what's the first common mistake? Now, the first common mistake is when students or when you find time, right, is if you look at the formula, okay, the formula, how do you find time? Time is distance over speed. But some students, right, they are so used to dividing. When you divide or when they divide, they think that you must always have a big number divided by small number. That will apply to primary 1, primary 2 students. Okay, big number then divide by small number. But as you go to primary 5, primary 6, you find that it may not be like that. So to find time, right, students will take 80 divided by 40, which is wrong. Because the triangle tells you need to take distance, right? Distance divided by speed. So that is the common mistake that most students will make. They take big number divided by small number, which is wrong. So you have to look at the formula, which is distance divided by speed. All right, and then the reason why I always tell my students that you need to write the units so that you can check to see whether they are the same. And if the units are the same, then you can divide. So 40 divided by 80, that is actually half. So 40 divided by 80 will give you half or 0.5, or just to half an hour. So important lesson here, when you divide, you have to check the units. You have to put the units down in your steps. Then you can see whether can divide or not. Because if the units are different, which you will see in the other lesson videos, you will have to convert and make the units the same. Alright, so if the units are the same, then what happened? You can divide them. So 40 divided by 80 is actually 40 over 80, and that's a half in the simplest form. So these are all paper 1 questions, so cannot use calculator. So which means that the car took half an hour to travel. Yeah, and now can you find the time? What time did the car left town A? Working backwards, then 100 minus half an hour. The car must have left town A at 9:30, 09:30. So that is your 1 part journey. And also there are some things to take note, which is the characteristic. It's not always big number divided by small number. It's all to do with the formula. So to find time is distance divided by speed. Okay, so that is your 1 part journey. And so stay tuned for the other many lessons on speed, and we will talk to you on how to draw out difficult problems. But of course, at the beginning, you have to learn how to draw simple models like this. And then from the simple models, you progress to drawing a little harder questions. All right, so see you in our next short lesson video.